President Trump's approval rating is 44%. His disapproval rating is 53%. This is, empirically, the worst showing for any newly elected U.S. president in the history of polling. Diving deeper into policy, Americans are split over some of the president's key initiatives. CNN political director David Chalian joins me now to dive into the numbers. And David, obviously some of the polls, especially the state polls, were off this election cycle, so there are no doubt a lot of skeptics out there wondering, why should we believe these polls? Why should we?
Well, and I always think skepticism is good around polls. It's not an exact kind of science, but you're right to note what we saw in the election season was really around state polls where there was a problem that didn't match the outcome. And it was because of the likely voter model. When you're trying to figure out exactly who's going to show up at the polls, that's a bit of a puzzle that you've got to solve. This kind of poll, Jake, that we're talking about now, this is a poll of all adult Americans. You're not trying to figure out who's showing up at the polls or not. It's just public survey research of all Americans and where the American population is.
All right. So let's dive into the president's approval rating. Most presidents get something of a bump when they first take office. Not here?
Not here, not at all. As you said, take a look again at that overall approval rating number. 44% approve, 53% disapprove, and it is a record low approval rating at this stage in a presidency. Take a look compared to previous presidents at this stage of the presidency. You see that little yellow bar down there? That's Donald Trump now. All his predecessors are compared as far back as polling goes, back to 1953 and Dwight Eisenhower. Every single one of them has been polling higher in terms of approval than Donald Trump is at this point in the presidency.
And the disapproval is even worse than the approval.
That's right.
Let's dive into some of these policies, because we're finding out how the public feels about a lot of these executive actions that Donald Trump is pushing.
So two of his key policy proposals that have been dominating headlines in the first couple weeks of his administration, majority of Americans oppose them. Take a look at the travel ban first. How do Americans feel about this? 53% of Americans, a slim majority, but a majority, oppose the travel ban. 47% are in favor. Let's look at that 47%, how it splits by party, because partisanship tells the story here. Only 12% of Democrats favor the travel ban, 46% of independents, so again, a minority of independents, and 88% of Republicans. Where you sit on the partisan divide is where you sit on this issue of the travel ban. And if you want to look at the Mexican wall, another policy, again, majority opposed. Take a look at these numbers. 60% of Americans oppose building a wall, only 38% favor it. That 38% is a number that has been going down in the last year and a half.